What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Powered by Primus. And in today's video, we're going to be showing off a new combiner and a new Decepticon King. I'm super excited. But the first thing I do want to talk about is that our Bumblebee giveaway is almost over. I'm going to be announcing a winner here in the next couple of days, so I will link that video down below. If you guys still want to get in on it, go over and check out that video. With all that being said, let's get into this combiner. So the new combiner that was spoiled is Superion the Sky Protector. Now, I was like 90% positive that he was going to make it into the set, and I am extremely happy that he did, seeing as how he's definitely one of my favorite characters. Now, he is an aerial bot. It takes all the aerial bots to create him, and he is a ranged character. Now, let's go ahead and get into the stats, and he does have 6 attack, 39 health, and 1 armor. Now, the 6 attack is pretty decent, not the highest. The 39 is pretty good, but again, not the highest, but it is a solid stat, and then it does have 1 armor. Now, this character is 25 stars, so that means that all of the characters that combine to him are going to be 5 stars each, allowing you to put all of those character cards into other teams, as well as putting it, obviously, into a Superion deck. Now, what makes Superion especially awesome is going to be his ability. He does have Bold 1, Tough 2, and Pierce 3. All of those are awesome abilities, meaning this guy's going to be able to deal a little bit of extra damage, he's going to be able to take a few more hits, and then he's going to be getting in for damage, not just off of the Bold, but having that Pierce 3 as well is going to be super awesome. His ability also says that when this combines, do 3 damage to an enemy, which is a crazy amount of damage and a super awesome ability. This is definitely going to be KOing characters left and right once you do finally combine to make Superion. Now, before we jump over to the characters that make Superion, let's just take a moment and enjoy this art. Now, the first character that we're going to be looking at that combines to make Superion is going to be Air Raid. It is a plane, which is super awesome and an obvious one, and is going to be ranged in both modes. While in alt mode, it has 3 attack, 8 health, 0 armor, and has no abilities. However, if you flip over into his bot mode, he has 4 attack, 0 armor still, and says that when this damages an enemy, you can scrap an upgrade on that enemy. This ability is going to be super powerful, and you're definitely going to be trying to target those characters that have those really pesky upgrades that are either holding you back or giving your opponent that advantage. Air Raid is going to be an awesome character in this lineup. One way to ensure that Air Raid does get in there with not only just having that 4 attack, which is actually a pretty decent attack, you're going to be able to give this card things such as Pierce from either Crushing Size or Piercing Blaster to ensure that you're getting in that damage no matter what your opponent's armor and blue flips are going to be, still giving you that ability to break any of those specific upgrades that you are indeed fact looking to break. The next character coming in is going to be Silverbolt. Silverbolt is obviously a plane while in alt mode and has ranged in both modes. Now, while in alt mode, it has 2 attack, 7 health, and 1 armor, and it's got some pretty awesome abilities. First one is Bold 1, meaning you get to flip 1 more when it comes to attacking, which is awesome. And then it says that when you attack and you flip at least 1 white, 1 orange, and 1 blue battle icon, you get to flip it into his bot mode. Now, flipping over to his bot mode, he has now 3 attack and keeps that 1 armor, but says when you flip to this mode, you get to deal 1 damage to an enemy. And if you didn't notice, there's going to be quite a bit of synergy here between Silverbolt and some of the other characters we're going to be showing off, and Superion's big ability where he deals 3 damage when he comes into play from being combined. Now, this deck and this specific lineup is going to be dealing tons of direct damage to your opponent. We'll be going over some of that stuff later on, but this is going to be a fantastic card, being able to constantly flip over and over and over, zapping your opponent's characters again over and over. The next character coming in is going to be Skydive. A Skydive is a specialist in both modes, and while in its alt mode, it does have 3 attack, 8 health, and 1 armor, and does have Tough 2, which allows you to flip 2 additional cards when it comes to defending. This character definitely is going to be one of your 2 main defender characters when it comes to this list. If we flip over into his bot mode, again, a specialist, does have 3 attack and 2 armor. It does say that when this attacks, you get to repair 1 damage from one of your aerial bots. Now, the one thing to note about this is that you are not required to deal any sort of damage. As long as this character does indeed fact attack, you get to automatically heal 1 from one of your aerial bots, which can include himself. Now the next character we're going to be showing off is Alpha Bravo and is the first of his kind being a helicopter. Super excited that we do have a helicopter in the game. That does open the door for a ton of other helicopter characters, which I'm really excited for. He is a specialist in both modes, and while in alt mode he does have 2 attack, 8 health, and 1 armor. It does say when an enemy plane attacks, do 1 damage to it. Again, really showing off that this team is going to be doing a lot of direct damage. Now, it is kind of a requirement that your opponent definitely does have to have planes and be attacking you, so if they don't have planes, this ability will not be triggering. But just imagine if you are going up against another Superion, this is going to be a lot of damage going back and forth that's going to be really hard to calculate. Or even if you're going up against a Seeker's deck or whatever else is going to be out there for planes, is it's going to be dealing some direct damage, which is always going to be nice getting in free points. Now if we swap over to his bot mode, he keeps the same stats of 2 attack and 1 armor, and does indeed in fact have Pierce 3. Pierce 3 is going to be fantastic on this character, seeing as how it's even over what his base attack is. This is definitely going to probably be a blue, orange, and white battle icon list, with a few greens splattered here and there, which we'll go over later on, which is going to allow this character to be able to get in those Pierce 3, really ignoring what your opponent's going to be doing on the armor side of things. And now coming into our last character is going to be Fireflight, back to plane, and we're going to have ranged on both modes. While in its alt mode, it does have 1 attack, 7 health, and 2 armor with Brave. Now Brave is a new ability that is coming to wave 2, and it says enemies attack this character if able. I just want to clarify how this specifically works, as I know it can sometimes be a complicated mechanic. So the way Brave works is that, let's say all 5 of our aerial bots are untapped currently. That means that when your opponent does attack, they will have to go into Fireflight. However, if one of your other characters is tapped and Fireflight is not tapped, they are allowed to go back for that tapped character, seeing as how that's the base rule. However, if Fireflight is tapped and let's say you have 3 other tapped characters, again they will have to go after Fireflight. So if Fireflight can be a target for the attack, then it has to be a target for the attack. Now if we flip over into his bot mode, he has 2 attack and 2 armor, and says that while this has 4 or more damage counters on him, it gets +1 attack, which would then put it at 3. Now Fireflight is going to be a pretty interesting character, either being your main source of defense if you prefer, always putting Fireflight out there to make sure that your opponent is always focusing on Fireflight, and then your other characters are going to be able to get in for extra damage and be a little safer. But the next thing that you can do with Fireflight is essentially use him as a shield, and not just in throwing him out there consistently to save your other characters, but if you need to throw him out there as a one-of, just to save one of your characters specifically. Now, I don't know if I'll always be throwing Fireflight out first for my attack, but I might be throwing someone else out, and then if they are getting low on health and I'm really trying to preserve that character, then I would indeed fact throw Fireflight out there next to make my opponent have to go after Fireflight and save that other character. Now the next card I'm going to be showing off is going to be the Aerial Bot specific card. Each combiner does indeed fact have an upgrade that does suit to those characters. And this one is Aerial Bot Formation. It is a blue battle icon card. It is an upgrade weapon and says put on Aerial Bots only. The upgraded character has +1 attack for each of your other tapped aerial bots. So that means that you could have up to 4 attack get added onto a character, seeing as how you could be attacking with your last of your 5 characters and having the other 4 tapped down. Same thing goes if you're attacking with 1 character and have nobody tapped, then it will not be getting that +1. However, if you have 2 characters, 1 already tapped and then the 1 attacking, it will be getting a +1. It does not count itself, unfortunately. It's only for each other character. Now, I definitely think that this is going to be a great card to add to the list. The blue battle icon is going to be awesome, but it can really be put on any of the aerial bots and really be beneficial. Now, what I will tell you is that I think the best target for this card is going to be on Silverbolt, seeing as how we're going to constantly be trying to flip Silverbolt to be getting a lot of that damage, and then maybe by the time that we have to attack with them, our other 4 characters will be tapped, and then now he'll be getting that +4 attack on top of his base damage already. Now, I'm sure you guys are curious about the Enigma, so here it is. It is Aerial Bot Enigma. Just like all the other ones, it is a green battle icon card, allowing it to be able to get into our hand super easy. It is an action. It says if you have Superion on the battlefield, do 1 damage to an enemy. Now, the one thing I always note with these is that the first time that you play the Enigma to create Superion, you do not get the first ability, seeing as how the card's ability trigger and how they are read. The first time that you play this, you will not be able to get this top ability, but after you will be able to play the Enigmas to get that perk. Now, the card may also seem kind of familiar, seeing as how it has the exact same ability as Strafing Run, minus the green battle icon. Again, we're going to be going over all this with the deck in just a second, but I hope that you kind of see where we're going. Now, the rest of the Enigma says that if you have 5 aerial bots in bot mode on the battlefield and or in your KO area, you get to combine them into Superion's Sky Protector. A combiner begins untapped, has all damage from the combined characters, and keeps 1 upgrade in each slot, meaning a weapon, an armor, and a utility. Now, that the way that that damage works, if you are new to the channel or if you're new to seeing any of these characters, is that let's say you have 3 characters that are KO, they all have 10 health, that when you combined any damage from those characters, which is always the maximum of their health in this situation would be 10, would carry over into the combiner. Now, let's say you have no damage on your other 2 characters remaining, you would start off with 30 damage on that character. Obviously, this scenario is just based on these numbers. When it comes to Superion, those numbers would be way skewed, but I'm sure you guys get how it works. Now, let's talk about how I think that this deck is supposed to be kind of running. Granted, you can do it however you want, but there's definitely an underlying theme on how this deck is supposed to be played. In that is with direct damage. All of these characters do very low damage, so you're not going to be putting high outputs of damage when it comes to attacking, but you can see through all of these different cards here, from Superion's big ability, where he comes into play, does 3 damage, from the Enigmas that do 1 damage to each enemy, to Silverbolt, who's dealing 1 damage, that we're going to be doing tons of direct damage. The best part about direct damage is that there is other cards out there that we're going to be using in this list. Now, these are just a few of the direct damage cards that we do have out. First one coming in is going to be Photon Bomb, which is going to be pretty awesome, seeing as how it's going to do 2 damage to each character. The one thing that's nice about this, and with the one shall stand, one shall fall, is that Skydive is going to be able to repair damage from your aerial bots. Then if we look over in Zap and at Plasma Burst, they're going to just do that direct damage, either 1 to the enemy or 2 to the enemy, depending on what you want. Now, seeing as how Silverbolt does require that we do have to have an orange battle icon when it comes to flipping, I'm definitely going to be probably putting in Zap, seeing as that it has that battle icon, and the other 3 cards here we show do not have a battle icon. Now, the next card here is Bombing Run, and this card has finally found its place in the sun. I am so excited to run this card in this list. You have no idea. Now, the first thing about it is that it is a blue battle icon, which is going to be super awesome, really help this list out, but also says choose an enemy character, and then you get to move 1 damage from each of your planes to that enemy. Seeing as how we have 4 different planes in this lineup, seeing as how we do have a helicopter, super excited again, that we're going to be able to move up to 4 damage to 1 character off of 1 action. This card is going to be so good in this list, it's not even going to be funny. Being able to do 4 direct damage is going to be super awesome. Now, there is the chance that you will have a character get KO'd early, seeing as that they do have low life, so maybe you're going to be triggering this for 3 or even 2 damage. No matter how it works out, even if you're getting 1 to 2 damage off of it, it's going to be doing its job, and this card is going to be a must-have in this list, and is going to definitely be a 3 of. Now, trying to give the best non-biased opinion, I think Superion is actually a really good character and a really good combiner. The one thing that we are going to be doing on the channel is, once we get our hands on that last combiner, is that we're going to do a cool video where we're going to compare all the combiners and all of the cards to really try to power level them out and see who ranks at number 1 and who comes in last. But I'll tell you, looking at what we've seen so far, Superion will not be on the bottom of that list. Now, the next character card we're going to be showing off has taken his place as king, and that is Starscream Decepticon King. Starscream, while in bot mode, is a leader, funny text, but is a leader, does have 6 attack, 15 health, and 1 armor, and has the ability that says when you flip to Decepticon Crown while this is battling, meaning attacking or defending, it gets +3 attack and +3 armor until the end of the turn. If we flip over into his alt mode, he remains the leader and is a plane and is ranged in both modes, has 5 attack, 15 health still, and has that 2 armor. Now, it says when you flip to this mode, you return a card that lets you plan from your scrap pile to your hand. Now, there is so much to dive into with this character, but let's first start off with the fact that he has 13 stars and is the super rare on the Decepticon side. Now, one thing that we saw in both Wave 1 and now officially with Wave 2, that there is a super rare on both Autobot and on the Decepticon side. That 13 star is definitely going to take up a huge chunk of the stars for your team. Again, a max total of 25 between your characters and your deck. But this character is so powerful that 13 star isn't even going to be a thought. Now we're going to head back over to his bot ability, and we're going to talk about this just one more time. And it says that when you flip the Decepticon crown while battling, again, attacking or defending, you get that +3/+3 till end of turn. Now here, the Decepticon crown is a white and a green battle icon card. Now with it being a green battle icon card means that once you flip it at the end of combat, you get to put it into your hand if you scrap one card from your hand. So what you're going to be able to do is make sure that you actually will have this Decepticon crown in your hand, which is going to be super powerful. Now before I thought this card was decent, but I didn't really quite get the power level of it, and now this card has just become nuts. Now again, flipping it is going to give Starscream that +3, bringing his base attack to a massive 9 damage, which is a crazy amount of damage. And then if you do flip this again on the defensive side of things, then he's going to have 4 armor, which is going to be a huge number as well for armor. The cool part is that once you equip the Decepticon crown to Starscream, now you get the ability to, whenever one of your Decepticon attacks, whether it's him or one of your other characters, seeing as how if you are running a mixed list of Autobots, they will not get this to trigger. But if you're all running all Decepticons, then you'll be able to get this to proc for everybody, is that you'll get to plan 1. Now let's say you do have a Decepticon crown on Starscream, and then you happen to draw a Decepticon crown for the turn. Well, it's not even a worry, because now you can attack. You get to plan, which allows you to put it on top of your deck, and then you get to flip it with Starscream, which will then trigger his ability, giving him again that +9. Then if you happen to have another card in your hand, which I would imagine in most situations we're going to, you can then swap it out for the Decepticon crown at the end of combat, and you can just wash, rinse, repeat, ensuring that your Starscream has 9 attack every single time that he does get thrown out there while in bot mode. Well, all that sounds really good, Jamie, but what happens if you flip the Decepticon crown on defense and you're blocking, and then yes, you get the +4 armor, but then the card's gone? Well, you just flip over to his plane mode, and we get to be able to put any card that lets you plan from your scrap pile back into your hand. So even if you happen to flip this card on defense, which would be amazing, you're going to get that 4 armor, flip over into your plane mode in the alt mode, get it right back into your hand, flip back into your bot mode, and just keep hammering your opponent. This character is going to be so powerful, and I'm so excited to be able to get my hands on him and build so many decks around him. But there's another card that I want to talk about that has the plan ability that's going to be really good with Starscream as well. And that card is going to be Mining Pick. Now, Mining Pick, we've already talked about in a previous video, is going to be an extremely powerful card. But if you flip Mining Pick, then if I'm Mining Pick is a lot less cool. Now, you can use cards such as Treasure Hunt and stuff to help you get it out. But Starscream's plane ability is going to be able to pull this thing right from the scrap pile, because it does allow you to plan. Now, just putting Mining Pick itself on top of Starscream is going to be really scary in itself, seeing as how you're going to be able to plan 2, and if you are planning 2, then you're giving +3 to that Starscream, and he's still going to be around that 9 damage mark. But what happens if we also have the Decepticon crown out? Now, there is quite a bit of interactions here, so it is a little tougher to go a whole lot of depth into via talking versus showing you guys, but I will try to do my best here. But let's say you have the Decepticon crown on Starscream. Now, it is in that utility slot, and then you play the Mining Pick, which is in the weapon slot, so they both can obviously be out. Now, let's say your opponent is tapped down and you have 2 characters going into attack, one of them being Starscream and one of them being another one of your characters. Now, assuming that character is a Decepticon, that character goes to attack, you get to plan 1. Now, assuming you do put 1 card on top via that plan, then Mining Pick is going to trigger. Mining Pick does say that when you put a card from your hand on top of your deck, the upgraded character will get +1 till end of turn. Even if it is another character that is planning, that you still get that perk. So after you plan the first time with that other character, now your Starscream is going to be sitting at a total of 8 attack. His 6 base, the 1 off the Mining Pick, and then the 1 off of that plan. That combat goes down however it's supposed to go down, and then you get to go over and attack with your Starscream. Now you attack with Starscream, you plan 2, and put the Decepticon crown on top as one of those plans. Now planning 2 cards is going to give you an additional +2 attack, so now you're going to be sitting at 10 damage before you flip over that Decepticon crown through attacks. Now, once you do attack and flip that Decepticon crown, you're going to be getting that +3 attack, bringing Starscream's attack up to a 13 base damage. Now, I know that seems like a stretch of the imagination, but it actually could be a pretty common thing to go down on this list, and I think Mining Pick is going to help put Starscream even higher up on that tier list for me, being able to do this a lot. Again, even if you don't happen to have the Decepticon crown in play and in one in your hand, and are just revolving the round of 1 in your hand, you can still use the Mining Pick to plan, put it on top, and then you get to smack for 9 with that Starscream, and then you can just flip over to your playing mode, bring the crown back to your hand, and still get to wash, rinse, repeat. This combo is going to be really powerful, and it's definitely something I'm going to try out. Starscream is going to be a really good character again. Being a super rare is going to be really awesome for him. I'm glad that he's going to be able to get some time in the sun, seeing as how he's been trying to for a very long time. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and this breakdown, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.